It's my pleasure this afternoon to introduce our guest speaker, Josh Fergie. Josh isn't going to be speaking about football, and I only met Josh an hour ago, so I don't have a lot of details to introduce him with, other than he's a passionate advocate for people with disability, and he's going to speak to us today about micro businesses and the work he does in that area for inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary, for that lovely welcome. Thank you, everyone, for having me. I feel really privileged to be here. This is such a lovely, relaxed sort of feeling club, and you can feel that when you walk in. So, very happy to be here. I don't normally talk to groups of people like yourselves. I'm often talking to families and people with disabilities, specifically younger people with disability, because that's sort of the area I'm talking about. There is a reason that I wanted to chat with you guys, and I hope you get some value out of it. And I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. Now, I need to quickly go over and press the slide button every so often because I didn't bring my pointer, so excuse that. Mark did offer that, but I'll let you finish your I'll let you finish your lunch, and then we might go with that. I reckon he's going to drag those peas out. So I've got 20 minutes. So this is quite a large topic that has a fair bit of nuance. So I'm going to try and hit the key points for you, and I do have a video sort of in the middle of there to give you a bit of a visual about what I'm talking about here. But micro-enterprise is a concept that basically means small business, right? Micro meaning very small, and enterprise in this context meaning business. So what I'm sort of concerned with doing, I'm actually funded by a grant project funded by the Department for Social Services. So I'm not a service provider. I work for an organisation called Community Living Project, who does provide services to people with disability, but that's not why I'm talking to you today. I'm talking about micro-enterprise as an idea. So, what is micro-enterprise? Micro-enterprise is a form of customised employment. So, for those of you, and I'd say there's not a lot of people who would know what that means, customised employment is a type of employment usually reserved for marginalised groups in society and quite often related to disability, where instead of getting a job advertisement and applying for that job, we craft a job around a person's specific interests and talents and capacity. So micro-enterprise is a form of this, and so what we're sort of concerned with doing is helping people with disability to create something that fits in with their life. And what we find is that when that happens, when people are able to successfully do that, the benefits are exponential. It's massive for people because not only are they getting up and having a job and having a really meaningful identity, but they're also doing something that they love doing. Thank you, Mark. So I've given this a bit of thought. I mentioned that this is not the type of group that I would normally talk to. This grant project has been going for 5 years now, and we haven't done a lot of speaking with service clubs. We do a lot of speaking with schools and disability organisations. But what we've realised is that we need to get this message out more broadly about micro-enterprise and the benefits of it. And we need to get in people's ears. And one thing that Rotarians are amazing at is being connected. And the idea of social capital, I guess, is what brings a lot of you guys together, or at least is a result of you guys coming together. So I'm not here asking for funding or anything like that. I'm asking you to have a think about what I'm saying and whether there's anyone in your particular circle or network who you think might benefit from hearing this information. The other thing I thought was that, and I'll go into this a little bit more in a minute, but the model that we've developed to talk about microenterprise, it relies on some funding, and generally that's NDIS funding. NDIS is in the news a lot, so you're probably all aware that NDIS is a National Disability Insurance Scheme and exists to help people with disability have the good things in life. The model that we use relies not only on that, but on community members coming around a person with disability to help them create and run their business. And I wonder if by the end of today's talk, there might be some of you thinking that you might have something to contribute to one of these groups and like to become connected with a microenterprise and offer your particular set of talents. There's not a lot of time involved in it, and I'm aware that you're already part of a service club and probably other things as well. So no obligation there, but if anyone thinks this is something they might like to get involved in, your time, knowledge and skills would be invaluable, I'm sure. Thanks, mate. All right, so I know most of us have got a mouthful of sausages, but I do have a small exercise. I'm just wanting a couple of people to shout out some answers for me, but I just wanted to highlight, I think most people in this room have or would have had some form of work over their lifetime. And I think it's so easy for us to take for granted what that work brings us. So I know for me, something that work brings me is social connectedness. You know, I work with colleagues and I form friendships from that. I have a sense of pride about my work. I really believe in what I'm doing, and when I tell people what I do, I feel proud. So I wonder if a couple of people here could call out something that they can bring, that work brings them.
A sense of purpose.
Purpose, thank you. Excellent, yeah. Anyone else? What was that, sorry? Financial security. That's normally the first one, so well done. However, I do want to premise that when I'm talking today, I like to take that out of it, because financial security is a wonderful thing, but concerning people with disability and other vulnerable people, quite often there's things bigger than that money can't buy that are super important. So anyone else? What's that, sorry? Yeah, absolutely. That's perfect. A hobby? Yes, fantastic. Gets them out of, yeah, perfect. Yes. Friendships, excellent. Pride, yes, perfect. Any friendship, yep.
Self-actualization.
Wow, we were talking about Maslow's hierarchy before, so well done. Yes, thank you. So here's a list of things that when I do this activity, inevitably the same kinds of things come up, right? So these are things that you cannot use money to buy. And quite often people with disability don't have the opportunity to have these things. That's right, yeah. I'm just going to introduce this video. This is a short video. It goes for 3.5 minutes. And it gives you a little bit of visualisation about what microenterprise is and how it can look for people with disability. So, Mark, if you don't mind.
Hi, I'm Michael from Greens to You. The idea of how it happened was I was out of work at the time and I needed something to do. I've always grown vegetables. I've always been good at growing vegetables, and I thought it was a no-brainer. The business runs, I've still got Wendy as my consultant. I've got a management team, and then I've got Gabe Monday, Tuesday and Friday, who is my personal assistant. We have a lot of fun, a lot of banter. Monday is usually maintenance, Tuesday is selling and Friday is selling. The best sellers usually is my spinach. Everyone loves the different stems.
How's it going? I'm Ash. We're here at MV2, skate shop down Noarlunga. Always good to see him, always smiling and brings joy to everyone. He's changed heaps in a person. He's not as sort of nervous now around new people and always talks a bit more. Pretty much just how his veggies are growing, how his weekend's been. He always asks about us, how we're doing down here.
Produce is great. It's really amazing to see what he grows, some really different stuff, really great quality. Everything's pretty massive a lot of the time as well. The zucchinis have been pretty impressive lately.
The best bit of selling is the money and the customers. What I enjoy most now is seeing my customers on a regular basis and talking to them.
Hi, I'm Dan. I'm the owner of the Flower Store in Port Noarlunga. It's been a lot in its life, but right now we've turned into a cafe. We try and source as much local produce as we can to use in it. Michael has been coming in for approximately, 2.5 years, maybe a little bit more. It's really important to form customer relationships, and Michael's been really good at building that over time and be really regular with coming in. So every Friday, he's willing to have a chat with you, and I think that allows him to become more of a community person.
I'm very proud of how far I've accomplished this project. It gives me something to occupy my mind. The advice I would give is to be patient. Don't expect it to all happen at once.
Right, thank you. All right, so Michael's story is one of over 100 that I know of. Like I said, I work for an organisation called Community Living Project, and they offer micro-enterprise as a service. We almost never have any capacity to take on new people because it's a really customised kind of approach to employment, and it doesn't make money, unfortunately. But there's ways that people can do this themselves. What I wanted to share with you is why people with disability quite often end up in this situation that their options are limited for work. So I don't know if you guys are aware, but quite often people with disability, when they leave school, they have a lot less opportunities than us. I'm skipping ahead a bit here, but this is a bit of a map of what school looks like and what the trajectory looks like for employment for a person who doesn't have disability. And this is maybe what things looked a bit like for you. So we go to school. At school, we're going to have some careers counselling, career guidance and pathways advice, those sorts of things. And then we're probably going to go on to do some more study, or we might go straight into work, or maybe we'll have a gap year. And then after doing those things, we might go to study, then to a job, or any combination of these things. And all of that is socially acceptable, and all of it's achievable. When we're talking about people with disability, this can be what it looks like. So we go to school, a person with disability goes to school, they have limited advice on what's available for them, and a lot of that is because there's not much available for them, other than supported employment. So in the old language, supported employment is like a sheltered workshop. We have a few of those in Adelaide. One's been in the media quite recently. And I'm not saying that those things are evil or anything like that, but they are. I'm providing a different option here, another idea. Day options. You've probably seen people with disability on a big bus going around to various activities, bowling or mini golf, which might sound like fun, but they're not providing much growth. They're not providing a lot of capacity building for people. And sadly, the thing that happens quite frequently is nothing at all. And what a waste of a life, a person who has a disability but probably has so much capacity to do something with their life, but instead they sit at home and don't do anything at all. So I love this quote. If we start by filling time, we get activities. And if we start with filling roles, time takes care of itself. And I often think that when we give a person a valued role in society, of which all of you have because you're Rotarians, but what happens is we find that people become less vulnerable. If people are known for something positive that they're doing, their vulnerability gets lowered and their quality of life raises. So, you know, activities, that's the 10-pin bowling and the mini golf and all of those things. We're just filling in time. But when we give someone something like the ability to own their own business, we get something completely different. And you might have noticed in the video, often the question gets asked, and I've asked it a couple of times when I've met some of you today. What do you do? What do you do with your time or for work? And if you don't have a good answer to that question, you can feel quite downtrodden. But if you can say, actually, I'm a business owner, you get a whole different response from people. So we've got a few, these are just some of the logos that have been developed with the micro-enterprises that Community Living Project has helped people to create. Just a couple of great ones. Down in the corner there, Coffee to You is a fantastic enterprise that a young man set up. He doesn't speak. But what he does is he goes to local community areas and in his area, and he goes to schools and businesses and he says, oh, look, he writes it, or he has a personal assistant with him, someone who helps him out. I'll get you a coffee, what are your orders for the day? And so he has a relationship with a local cafe, and he'll take that order back to the cafe and he charges a 50-cent delivery fee, and people get their coffees delivered to them every day. The amazing thing about that is the contribution to the overall economic situation is that that cafe has increased their sales by $5,000 in the last 6 months just through Samuel going and doing this. So there's so many different positive effects. Just next to that one, Ground Control by Major Tom, which everyone loves the name, but Tom's a great friend of mine, and he mows lawns. He was at a school, and the school suggested that when Tom finished, he might like to go over the road from his school and work at Bedford in the packaging department. Well, Tom's family had very different ideas from that, and the week after Tom finished school, Tom's mum went and spoke to a Lions Club, and the Lions Club donated a lawnmower and a whippersnipper for Tom. And Tom started his business with one client, and he'd go and mow their lawn. It would take him half a day, and he'd charge them $20 or something, but it meant Tom was out doing something. Tom now has over 100 clients, of which I'm one, and Tom knows every single one of those by name. And every time he goes there, he checks in on them and says hello and asks about them, and he remembers them. And it's just a beautiful thing to watch Tom from being this quite isolated young man who had very little speech and didn't do a lot for himself to now being this vivacious guy who loves beer and chicken wings and mowing people's lawns. So, loves beer a little bit too much sometimes, and chicken wings. But that's okay. All right, Mark? So I spoke at the start about this idea of an enterprise management group and the NDIS. So let's have a look at this model. This is how it works for the organisation I work for. We have a person who wants to create a micro-enterprise. So 2 of the roles helping that person are funded, usually by the NDIS. So they'll have a consultant who helps them unpack what it is about their life that they could change, what sorts of enterprise ideas they could have, and they guide them through a process. It usually takes 3 to 6 months to go through that process, and from the idea to getting a business that's actually running. And then that person themselves will hire a personal assistant. So that's kind of like a person, for Tom, for example, who mows the lawns, his assistant's name is Alex, and Alex does the driving because Tom doesn't drive yet. So Alex drives Tom and his trailer full of tools to each house, and Tom's not great at the whippersnipping yet, so Alex does the whippersnipping and Tom mows the lawn, but Alex is very much Tom's employee. Tom's the boss of that business, and he's one of the most respectful bosses I've ever met, actually. And then you've got an enterprise management group, which is a group of people who give their time for nothing. They're not funded. They give their time because they have something to offer and they want to be part of something great. And so I guess that's, if there was some interest in the room from people, I'd be more than happy to set you up with some people that you could chat with about that. Thank you, Mark. All right, some of the outcomes expected when a person goes from doing whatever they're doing, which is often not a lot, to setting up a micro-enterprise. We spoke about having that relatable identity. So all of a sudden, their disability is secondary to the fact that they're a business owner. They have pride in the product or service that they're putting forward. And it's really important that the businesses that we set up, and actually we don't set them up, that's terrible language. The person with the disability sets up their own business and we're there to guide them. But it's really important that their product or service stands on its own. It's not a charity. That product or service has a place in the market and it has nothing to do with that person's disability. And that's really, really important that we recognise that, because there's enough charity mentality that goes on with disability, and that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to lift people with disability up beyond that. So there's a few great things there, and plenty more, but having these sorts of outcomes for a micro-enterprise is what it's all about. All right, and that's me done. Like I said, I'm here to answer questions and share information, and if you're able to connect me to people who might like to hear this information, then that's great. Does anyone have any questions about what we're doing here? Yes? We did have a roving mic, yeah.
Otherwise you'll be sanctioned.
Thank you so much. I was just going to say, in my business, every year we contact the Royal Society for the Blind. We did it one year for a whole year. We needed a worker, and they provided us with the computers, the braille, keyboards, stuff we wouldn't even dream of. But it gave this person who became blind about 25, so they went through their childhood normal sight and living life. And so obviously there's a depression aspect, was on full disability, but basically having that job gave him the chance to feel rewarded, made friends. He still contacts us every year, gets his rings polished, got married pretty well a year afterwards, met his partner while he was that way. And it's just one of these stories. And every year he ended up full-time at KPMG because he had work experience. That's the thing. They have to show, look, he can data entry like crazy because he's got 100% focus. He's not distracted by anything else. Yeah. And and we still catch up with him, and he's KPMG, who was our accountants, got all the data entry, and they said, who's doing this so quickly? Because they know we can't type for losers. So, they took him on full time, but every year when we need more data entry done at tax time, Royal Society of the Blind provide us with someone, and they bring those keyboards and the computers to our shop, and they just do it. It's easy for us as an employer, and the reward for that person, game changer.
Fantastic. Is it David? David, yes. Thank you, David. You've touched on a couple of really great things there. First one is that, you sort of mentioned that he doesn't have other distractions. I think you meant because he doesn't have sight. And that might be true, or maybe he's just really good at data entry. I don't know. But But we do find that, and this model relies on us believing that every single person has some value to add to society. And the second thing you mentioned was that was for a year, and this is what we find is quite often this is a stepping stone. Microenterprise can be a stepping stone to something else. It doesn't have to be forever, and probably shouldn't be forever, because not many of us stay in one job forever. So yeah, thank you, great points. Yes.
Thank you. Once you're connected with somebody with a disability, how do you help them determine what's something they could excel at?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. We go through a process, it's called discovery, and discovery is a well-researched process, which is part of that thing, customised employment, that I spoke about. And it's basically a tool for working those things out. And it takes into account things that normally wouldn't be considered in job readiness. It's things like, how much capacity does a person actually have to work? It might be 1 hour a week, and that's okay. They might have something that they really love doing that's in a hobby space for them. And so we think, well, maybe we shouldn't touch that, because the second you quite often turn something that was a hobby into a job, it loses you lose that passion for it. So if we look at it that everyone has a set of skills and knowledge and interest, then that's the angle we're coming from, and it becomes much easier to find that thing. Does that answer your question? Good.
Thank you. I just wanted to reflect on the fact that here we are in the cricket history of Adelaide Oval, magnificent. Is this working?
Yeah.
And a Rotarian who's passed on now, but it was a member of our club and went to Adelaide Light, a chap by the name of David Rowe, and he and his partner ran Rowan Jarman Sports Law, and they employed people with disability. One was Nugget Rees.
Oh, yes.
Some of you remember Nugget. He's got a plaque up out here. He's still alive,
Yeah.
but he had a significant disability.
Fantastic.
And his father went to those guys and asked if they could help him out. And he
Perfect.
just ran errands for him. He became, an Australian Test team embraces him, South Australian team, and football teams.
I think
Wonderful.
Nugget would have been embraced because, one thing, Nugget became an identity and had a persona, and he had value. So I think that's really important.
Can I just add to that story? Because
Yes.
when Nugget was working there in the basement of Rowan Jarman, he was working with another guy who had disability, Swan Bob Richards, his name was, Swanee Richards. That Nugget and Swan used to do all the grips on the bats, used to take that back and all that. Swanee Richards went on and worked for Gray Nichols, went to England, came back, was ultimately general manager of Gray Nichols, and met the Queen on a number of occasions. Unbelievable, but the two of them were together, right? That was
Fantastic. Now, I know we're very short on time. Now, just one quick thing before Gary takes over here is I'm going to leave a sheet of paper with just where you could jot down your name and your email address if you'd like to know more, or if you think that you might be able to connect me with someone, or whatever it might be. I'll leave a sheet out on the table as we exit there. So thank you very much for your time, guys. I really appreciate being here. Thank you.
Well, just stay there for a minute. I meant to ask you all to stand up. Let me say thank you first. So,
Do you want?
thank you,
Thank you.
Josh, for coming to speak to us today. Fascinating talk, very well presented. And I couldn't help think, because of this room we're in today, to continue the cricket analogy. We've got a bottle of 101 not out wine here for you, which is relevant to the Rotary Club of Adelaide because we're 101 years old and we meet here at the Adelaide Oval. But there's another bit of trivia since we're in this room with these two boards up here I just noticed. There's one 101 not out that's been scored in the Test match in Adelaide, and it was J.W. Burke against England in 1930-31. Up on that board, there's two 101s, but they were both out, and they were in consecutive years. One was Viv Richards in 75-76, and the other was Zahir Abbas for Pakistan in 76-77. So there's your 101 not out.
Thank you very much.
I'd like you to thank Josh in the way that we normally do.